It's springtime, and that means camping season is right around the corner. But what we want to do today is make sure that your ACs are running as efficiently as possible.
Yep. We're also going to talk about these AC soft starts and how they can maybe help you get your AC running in situations where you normally can't.
Let's do it.
Our friends Eric and Tammy at TechnoRV actually sent us some of these to try out about a year ago. But then winter kind of crept up on us and it was a little bit too late. So here we are rolling around to summer again. The only difference being is that now they have these in a little bit smaller form factor. So they sent those to us. The good news is we have 3 of these. They're the exact same, just a little bit difference in size. We have 3 of these to give away. So check down below in the description for details on how to win one of these AC soft starts. So these soft starts aren't brand new technology. They've been around for a while and we've seen them on and off on different YouTube channels. But we want to cover these and we want to talk about some of the misconceptions about them and what they do and what they don't do. Before we jump into the soft start, I want to talk a little bit about why it's needed and electric motors in general, and just give a little bit of background on how those work. Now, every electric motor doesn't just start right up and instantly start spinning. It has to go from stopped to running. And when it does that, it actually draws up to 4 to 10 times as much current as it does in its normal run state. So what happens is if you've got a situation where your power supply may be right up on the edge of what you're able to run for ACs, because it might normally draw, say 15 amps, something like that, when it first kicks in, it's going to have an inrush current and it's going to draw 4 to 10 times that. Now, in an RV, it usually ends up being about 5 times. We're going to do some tests, but the thing is, you might be right up on the edge of, say, your 2000 watt inverter or your 2000 watt generator, and this huge surge of current throws the whole thing out of whack and kicks it offline, and your AC never has a chance to start. And that's where these come in. There's a lot of cool science, and you can talk about electromagnetic fields and locked rotor amps and stuff like that. That's all really cool, and I'll have some links to some articles down below for my fellow geeks who want to geek out on that stuff. But just know that your ACs draw a ton of current for a fraction of a second when they start up, and that's where these things come in. The biggest motor you have in your RV, besides perhaps the engine, if you're talking about that, the biggest electric motor is the compressor motor for your air conditioning. Now, these soft starts do exactly what their name implies. It softly starts your compressor versus having it have that one huge surge. Now, it's still going to surge, it's just going to be a lot less. We're going to do our own tests on this, but if you remember me talking about Mike Sokol in RV electricity in the Hughes Autoformer video, you'll remember he's like the electric guy, like the RV electricity guy. We'll have links to his stuff down below, but he built this thing called a high rate data logger. Now, the tests we're going to do will test the maximum current, but he actually got to graph his over time, something like 180,000 samples per second or something. It was nuts. But it's really neat because if you look at this graph that I have on screen now, you can see that the red line is the stock capacitor, meaning there's nothing, out of ordinary attached to the AC, and you can see that it peaks out around 52 amps. Whereas the yellow line with the soft start kind of extends that out a little bit. It's still going to draw the same amount of power, but it's not going to be as high of a peak. And it's that peak that can give you problems. We've had intermittent trouble with our AC starting every now and again. There are a lot of factors involved besides just the inrush current. Temperature, humidity, the voltage that you have. Remember, we talked about with the autoformer, the lower the voltage, the higher the amps. That goes for the inrush current also. So if you're in a situation where maybe you have an external generator that you plug in that's maybe 2000 watts, or maybe even a 2000 watt inverter, or maybe you're on 30 amp. 30 amp is 3600 watts. But if you want to run 2 ACs on 30 amps, this also might help you. So the inability to start your AC under very specific circumstances You know, it may be something that only comes along once in a while for you and you don't really need this. You may be like us and you've got a 5,500 watt generator and a 3,000 watt inverter, and this might not affect you as much. And honestly, if you're in that situation, you probably don't need this. But that little bit, when you do need it, it's a big deal because it might mean the difference between starting your air conditioner and not. So let's talk about what the soft start does not do.
Wait a minute. Hold on, hi. I just wanted to interrupt you for a second.
Interrupt me. That's
Yeah.
my job.
I know. Actually, I wanted to ask you guys if you could do us a big favor and click that like button, and also make sure you hit subscribe because that will really help us out with the whole YouTube algorithm, and we really appreciate it. Carry on.
Back to it. This thing does not at all change the amount of power your AC needs to run, actually maintain and stay running. It only changes that starting profile. So it's not going to let you, say, run 3 ACs on 30 amp. It's not going to let you run 2 ACs on 2,000 watts. It's just not going to do it. It does not change your actual running profile, only the starting profile to get you going. But if you can't start it, you can't run it. When we test and show products to you guys, we love to be able to show and prove the efficacy of a product. So my first attempt was to try to get our inverter to fail. What I have done is we're on inverter right now. We're drawing about 900 watts currently. That's just computers, lights, microwave clock, stuff like that. Not a lot. So we do have room to run the AC unit, so I am going to do that right now. In the past, every now and then when we kick on the AC and the compressor kicks on, it will overload and shut down the inverter, then the inverter will come back on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So turn on the AC. It might take a minute for it to ramp up. Okay, fan just kicked on and we jumped up to 1235. There goes the compressor. Ooh. So yeah, the compressor is definitely on now, but we didn't have any problems. Of course, you know, when you want it to fail, it's not going to. So failing for us was a fail in that it succeeded and we couldn't really show that. But we are going to show you some measurements and show you how they work. So before we install anything, I wanted to test our inrush current right here at our distribution panel. Now I could do this on the roof or pretty much anywhere in that circuit, but right here was easy. Also, if you want to do this yourself and test out your inrush current, you need a meter that's capable of measuring inrush. And that's different than just the high-low setting. A high-low does not sample fast enough to get a true inrush current. This model also has this nice extension, so I don't have to actually use the clamp and get down in there. I can run this down there and set it on the counter, as you'll see in these demonstrations. You'll also see while I'm testing this, these ACs usually start in 2 stages. One where the fan kicks on. Now the fan inrush is only like around 8 amps, and then the running amperage is around 2 to 3 amps. So that's not a big deal. The SoftStartRV connects to the compressor because that's where your big inrush current is, and that's where the problems arise. This first measurement will be fan motor starting up. All right, 8.2 on the initial start. Our next inrush should be the compressor. There it is. You'll notice that when we test this out on the living room AC, our main AC, which is a 15 kBTU air conditioning unit, it's also a heat pump, we had about 44 amps of inrush current. When we measure the bedroom one, which is a 12.5 kBTU unit, we got about 50 amps. So those are our measurements before installing this. So the first step is to actually get the model number for your exact AC unit. So our wiring diagram that has the number that you need to look up the directions is behind this panel, not on the outside. So you can see here's our diagram. This little number down here, 1976 E519. Is what we've got, so we'll be looking at those directions. So you pull that off, you look up that number, and then you go to the SoftStartRV website, find your number, and you'll find the instructions for your specific unit. I had never done one of these before, and I heard they were easy, but let me tell you, it was really easy. But I've got my directions up here. Begin by routing all SoftStartRV wires into the electrical box. So step 1 is to route all the wires in here. And then it says to go ahead and crimp on the connectors based on the diagram, which is, you know, male or female connections, onto these. Rather than crimp them all on right now, I'm going to wait and double check that they're male or female that I need. I also want to kind of trim these down. I don't think I need this much because this is going to go right here. So I'm going to just leave it right here, and I probably don't need all of this cabling in here. Follow the white compressor wire to the run capacitor C terminal, disconnect and connect it to the blue soft start wire. So here's my blue wire, but this is my compressor right here. And if I follow this wire, you can see it goes down to this capacitor here. So I guess I just disconnect this. There we go. So I need to connect this. Definitely don't need all of this. Alright, connect the black SoftStartRV wire to the terminal the white wire is on. Step 3, follow the red compressor wire from the compressor to the HERM terminal. Do not disconnect the red compressor wires. Connect the yellow SoftStart wire on the terminal next to the red compressor wire if available. The capacitor has 2 sides to it, and one of them has 4 connections, and I'm just going to connect this yellow one to where that one is. Step 5, follow the black compressor wire to the relay board NO terminal, disconnect it, and connect it to the brown soft start wires. Connect the red soft start wire to the terminal the black compressor wire is on. I think I'm done. That was super easy. All right, before I button this back up, I'm going to go turn power back on and turn it to auto cool, 55 degrees, and I should hear the compressor kick on. I'm going to put this gummy stuff back over here. It's just like a putty. Hey, there goes the compressor, and I got a green light already. That's excellent. That was a lot quieter too. So as you can see, it was 6 steps, and when I got to the 6th step, I was surprised. I was like, I guess I'm done. I went and fired up, worked great, been working great ever since. Now, if you buy this from our friends Eric and Tammy at TechnoRV, you also get their learning series. So their learning series and their support combined with SoftStartRV support is phenomenal. Now, I talked to Eric about this, and he said, if you're not sure what you're doing, set up an appointment with them and they will actually walk you through the install on the roof with you on the phone. That's really cool. But give yourself a chance to look at the directions and just kind of follow them. It's really not hard. It's step by step. Now, when I did the one on the front AC, the bedroom AC, it was a little bit different, which kind of gave me a feel for 2 different types of ACs. Now, you'll notice that you're going to install this little box in the warm air side of your AC outside of where the actual electrical wiring is. So this thing, because they give you such a good length of wire here, and they give you the self-adhesive back here, you can put this thing anywhere up inside there and run the wires over and you'll be fine. Now, you'll notice when I installed the one in the middle AC, I did it with the wires closest to where it was going in, so I installed it like this. And I didn't see it in the directions, but Eric mentioned he heard a recommendation that this should be installed this way, just in case you get some water on this cable gland and it might creep in there. I'm not too worried about it. I've got cable glands on all of our antenna stuff for our deployable antenna for our internet, and they're usually really good and tight, so I'm not too worried about it. But I did install the other 2 in this orientation versus this orientation. Now you're going to notice that I've got some special crimping tools and stripping tools and things like that up there. But honestly, you can do this with a screwdriver and a pair of pliers. It's not hard at all. These all come pre-stripped. So you can see all you got to do is pull this off there, put the connectors on that they supply, smash it down with a pair of pliers, and you'll be good. And that's the other thing too, is they give you all the stuff you need for this. They give you all the little quick connectors. They give you zip ties, everything you need comes in the box. Another tip, if your install has you taking the cap off of the compressor like the ones on both ends of ours did, you're going to notice on the top of that there's a piece on top that just kind of floats around and looks like it might have broken off. It didn't break off, it's fine. The cap is designed to hold that in place and it just does kind of float on there. But the bottom line is the install is super easy. You know, it probably took more time just to get the tools up there and take the cover off than it did to actually install these. So let's look at our tests post-install and see if they work. All right, 8 amps for the fan. And 15.7 for the compressor. All right, there's the fan, 8.6. There's the compressor. There we go, 15.8. Test is good. As you can see from our test here, the fan starting inrush did not change at all. This does not affect your fan, it only affects your compressor. But our compressor went from 44 amps to 15.7 amps here on the main AC, which is a huge improvement. On our bedroom AC, it went from the 50 amps down to about 15 amps also. So you can see it does exactly what it says it does. And if you're having trouble starting your air conditioners on 2000 watts or something like that, this is for you. We'll continue to monitor these, you know, later on this summer if we're doing some boondocking and starting the ACs off of the inverter. We'll see if we have any situations where the air conditioner kicks off or something like that, or you know, faults out our inverter. But hopefully it won't. That's the whole point. So you may be like us and you not have a huge need for this particular soft start device, and that's fine. Most of your bigger RVs, you might not need it. It's one of those things you don't need it until you need it. What else can you do to improve your chances of staying cool in the heat of the summer? We've done a few different videos on that, and I want to touch base on those and just kind of summarize those for you, and I'll have links down below to the actual videos. The absolute best thing you can do to your air conditioning is service it. Give it some maintenance. And that may sound like, oh my gosh, I'm not an HVAC specialist, I don't know what to do. It's not difficult at all. In fact, we have a whole video on AC maintenance. We also had to do this last summer in Vegas when it got super hot, and that helped out a lot. You've got 2 sets of fins up there, each designed to basically exchange heat. One of them heats up and has your fan blow through it and blows the hot air, and then your evaporator coil is where that refrigerant expands and cools, and that's where you get your cold air from. But the key is airflow. If your fins are all bent up, if they're gummed with mud daubers and dust and dirt, they are not going to be doing their job properly. So the best thing you can do is get up there and clean that. Now there are a lot of other things in that video too that are super important. One of them is your plenum and your areas up here where if you have ducts, or even if you don't have ducts, you want to make sure that anywhere air is going into or out of your AC unit is sealed up. You don't want to be blowing your nice cool air into your attic where nobody gets to enjoy it. Another thing that can greatly improve the efficiency of air movement from your AC are the RV airflow products. Now we did a video on those also. We did measurements with an anemometer, and we could tell we got, I think, 45% more airflow coming out of our vents through this device. Now what this thing does is it eliminates your dump from your baffle. But that's fine because that just short cycles a lot anyway. You know, when you've got a dump sitting here and the intake's right next to it, a lot of that is going to short cycle and go right back in there, and you're not going to see the benefit of it. So these RV airflow devices actually change the entire bottom of your AC, and it has a very efficient smooth curve from your output to go into your ducts, and it also turns the entire bottom of your AC, the entire plenum area, now becomes intake. You'll notice in the video that we did that before installing these, only half of our filters would get dirty because only half of them were actually having air pass through them. Now we have our entire bottom being used as an intake, so our filters are being used. The intake to the AC is a lot more efficient, and when the cold air comes out, it goes right into the ducts and gets spread out to all of the rooms. So that really helps us out too, because we like to run this main AC the most. In particular, when we're in bed at night, we don't want the AC right above our heads running. So we run this AC and let it pump air through the whole RV, but that includes our bedroom. We've got them on all 3 ACs. They're fantastic. Also related to summertime and staying cool is your refrigerator. These RV refrigerators, not a big fan. They're really tough to keep ice cream cold, really tough to keep the fridge cold sometimes, but there are quite a few things you can do on your refrigerator to improve its efficiency. Everything from cleaning up your seals to going on the back and making sure you have proper airflow through your vents. It works a lot like your AC. It's generating heat to expel heat and then cool. So you need to have good airflow. Pay particular attention in that video when I talk about the top fin. A lot of people will get up there and pull that cover off and they see a board over their fins and they're like, holy cow, these stupid RV manufacturers put this board in front of my fins. Well, that's designed to be there. It's there to make the airflow go past those fins and not just bypass them. There are a lot of things in that video. I highly recommend you take a look at that and check all those little things to make sure that your refrigerator is performing as well as it can in the summer heat. Another AC related item that isn't really anything to do with efficiency or improvements or maintenance, but we really like them, and those are our micro air thermostats. Now the reason we like these is, number one, it gives you an actual programmable thermostat that you can like set timers on and say, okay, at bedtime crank the air down, and right before wake up time crank the air back up, or whatever you like to do. You can actually program some of those things. What we really like about it is the fact that we can control our thermostats from anywhere. We had several instances where we would be out and about. If you saw our pet safety video, you know that we monitor the environment here, and we can tell when the power goes off and the AC is shut off and the temperature starts to rise. But with our stock controllers, there was nothing we could do about it. We once had to drive an hour and a half both ways. We wasted 3 hours of our day just to drive back here and turn our ACs back on. Now these don't work unless you have your own internet. They're not connecting out to the internet by themselves like some of our pet monitors are. So you do have to have your own internet set up. That could be a hotspot or whatever it is you use. We'll have a link down below to our internet video. Again, not related to any of this, but it is for internet. Now also, if you're interested, we are going to have some updates to that coming very shortly where we're going to test some 5G stuff, so stay tuned for that. And the last thing I want to mention that has to do with getting ready for summer is your generator. Is your generator working? Have you run it at all over the winter? Has your RV been parked? Make sure that thing runs before you actually pack up and get going. And also, you want to make sure that you do maintenance on that. Different generators have different maintenance schedules, but changing the oil is super easy. We have a video on that also, but just make sure it's running properly. You also want to run your generator about once a month under load for about an hour just to give it a workout. Engines like to be run when they sit for a long time is when they have problems. So that's our review of the soft starts and our tips for your pre-summertime things that you can do to improve your summer camping. If you guys have anything that I missed, please comment down below. I'd love to hear them. We'll see you next time.